I will say this rivalry goes harder than any other rivalry that Alabama has.
65
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a special edition of Constantly Smoking. If you're not aware, it is to me the second most popular day of football of the year.
Next to the Super Bowl?
Next to the Super Bowl, baby, NFL Draft Day. This is the day when you watch all of these kids that you watch grow up and become men, ascend to the next destination. So here to talk about it, listen, man, y'all about to get a treat. Not only am I with my brother, the one and only Gerald Smoke Dixon, but we're talking about the original, the first GM in college football. But before that was an NFL scout who scouted these kids coming out of college, going to the NFL. So who better to provide in-depth insight on what these kids are about to experience and the decisions they should make and how they should become the next, hopefully, NFL Hall of Famer. Smoke, what's good, brother?
Mookie Love, what's going on, man?
Hey, man, I'm here, man. You know, hey, it's NFL Draft Day, brother. What more could you ask for?
It's in Green Bay, though, Marvin. It's cold. It's spring and it's cold. I ain't gonna lie to you. It's Green Bay. I get Green Bay being a city like that, and it's historical landmark of NFL football, Lambeau Field, great stadium, phenomenal fans, awesome game day. It ain't the time for to be up there right now. They could have done that in Vegas and New York, Miami.
I'm with you, but you know, you can at least walk across the street to Brett Favre Steakhouse if it's still open, and at least eat halfway decent.
Oh, so you've been up there. Look at you. You know landmarks. Hey.
Yeah, I've had the pleasure of going up there before.
I like it. I've had the pleasure of playing there. But either way, let's get to it, man.
Let's get to it, man. First and foremost, I want to jump right into it. With it being draft day, brother, what are the criteria that, you know, scouts are looking at when they're evaluating for these kids, and what metrics are they using to determine where they will potentially project them to be drafted?
That's a billion-dollar question, and I'm going to try to give you the most condensed version as possible. Just like everything else, Marvin, it just doesn't start yesterday. This is a process that scouts go throughout the entire year and years upon research and collecting data on each specific talent and talking about the prospects and the players. The first thing that you always have to clear is the height and weight. Right? You got to look apart for each specific position because each team has their certain criteria of height, weight, speed, matrix that they want to hit. And that's where the NFL Combine comes in. And that's why you see a bunch of people running the Indy with stopwatches in hands, laser time. Gorchak is sitting there blowing the whistle. That's the guy that starts the 40 for the Combine. My man, Mark Ross, is official hand timer for the NFL Network. Good friend of mine, former New York Giants scout himself. But then it goes to the film, Marvin, and it's the most important thing. And that's what you and I always get on, and we talk about why aren't kids always being 100%. We have an echo. What's going on with you, Petty?
Petty, you have entered the screen.
Sorry, Petty. We didn't want you on today, and you got a tank top on.
All right, proceed, brother.
But either way, that's where the film comes in. And that's where you have to be an impactful player at your position. We want to see effort, we want to see ability, and we want to see production. And then it goes into the interviewing process where we want to get the background in. And that's where the football character comes in. Who are you off the field? Can truly tell us the determination of who you're going to be on the field. Are you a bull crapper off the field? Most likely you're going to be a bull crapper. Are you lazy off the field? Most likely you're going to be lazy off the field. Do you have any type of issues outside that's going to prevent us from taking out our checkbook and writing you the biggest check? So when you start talking about rounds, Marvin, especially day one, first round, you want to get the prospect that's the most cleanest. Meaning, I have to be able to go, if I'm the general manager, to the owner and say, here's Marvin Constant, the best linebacker in this draft, because we know that he's the best one and on our board, and that's a position of need as well, too. I don't want any character issues. I don't want any health issues. I don't want any production issues. I want to be able to take you put you in our starting lineup day one, and have you there for 10 years. So those are the criteria that we're looking for on day one. Now you get to the second round. We want the same ones, but we know there might be a little bit of, you might not be tall enough, might be short enough, but we still want the best player because second rounders, again, are starters. Third round, starters. Now we start getting to the fourth, fifth round. That's where we want to see the height, speed, dynamic players show up that might have some bad character that we have to deal with, because with talent comes tolerance. If you're talented, yeah, we'll tolerate some of your bull crap. But if you're not talented, you ain't gonna put up with all your crap. So that's kind of how I've always looked at the matrix. Round 1 through 3 are starters, and we want them as clean as possible, meaning health, production, play, character, clean. 4th, 5th, 6th round, 7th round, we're looking for height, weight, productive, good football players that we can throw on special teams, or in the long run, if they shape up and develop properly, can become a starter for our team.
All right, good deal. Hey, man, listen, I appreciate that, and I hope the fans appreciate that breakdown as well. So, I mean, we're about 54 minutes away from the start of the draft, so let's go ahead and get into it. Petty, go ahead and give me Smoke's big board, baby. Let's go
The
ahead and
best board. Let's get to it.
and dissect, baby.
All right, so what we did here was Marvin and I compiled all the draft-eligible players for the University of Alabama and basically ranked them out how we believe they're going to be drafted in first, second, third, free agents, and so on and so on. The way that I use mine is I went through and I studied all of these guys like I normally would if I was working for the Buffalo Bills. And when I put a first-round grade on them, I'm thinking that they can either be a day one starter right now, or if you look in the quarterback position, at least sit for a year, learn, and become a good football player. So the first one I have off coming on the board is Jahad Campbell. Linebacker, dynamic, can play off the ball and off the edge in terms on third down. But his off the ball production was really good this year, Marvin. He's a see ball, get ball linebacker. Instincts was just okay. Taking on blockers was solid, but he also can improve in that area. But what you see is a player that can truly change the game and erase negative plays. When I say negative plays, I mean plays that the defensive lineman get cut off. Yeah, he'll show up in the backfield. If there's tight, loose gaps like that, Marvin, you know how you guys like shooting them gaps? He's shooting and striking it for TFLs. And he also has good coverage ability in terms of covering running backs and tight ends. But where he comes in is his ability to blitz. Before this year, he was used more as an off-the-edge outside linebacker. My second player in the first round, I believe that's going to go is Tyler Booker. Tyler Booker started for Bama, left guard for the last 3 years. Powerful, intimidating, knock your face off, power scheme type of player. Went to the combine, didn't test that well. So scared off a few teams because he ran really slow. All his testing matrix wasn't awesome, but his film again shows up, and you take a little bit more off of what he did at the combine, Marvin, and put more on what he is as a player on film. Go ahead.
Go back to 2008, a la Andre Smith.
Yep. Yeah, Smitty tested awful. Right. But Smitty was a daggone good football player. There's some guys that aren't T-shirts and shorts players. Yeah, he ain't. He's a guy that puts his helmet on, strap it on, and knock your face off first level and second level.
Intestinal fortitude, brother.
I think that there's going to be a team that will try to trade up back into the first round to select Bama's quarterback, Jalen Milroe. Athletically gifted, strong arm, still working on timing, anticipation, and also placing the football with touch. But he has a skill set, Marvin, that you cannot teach. Raw ass speed, the ability to make plays when everything breaks down. And it's not like he can't throw the ball. He just needs more time on task and learning how to throw the ball. Now, this is where I think Alabama is falling, where there aren't second and third round type of players in my eyes. The next round that I see is CJ Dupree, tight end. Was at Maryland with me, kid from PA. True Y, wasn't used as much, so his production dipped off since he left Maryland, but can block, can catch, can run after the catch, but you didn't see a lot of it. Went to the combine, tested okay, but I think he's more of a 5th, 6th round draft pick. And then we got a kicker. You don't like talking about kickers, Marvin. He won the Lou Groza Award 2 years ago. Solid. And then we have just a bunch of priority free agents after that. Tim Smith, Malachi Moore, Quay Robinson. Keelan Hibbett, long snapper. But again, this is where I think Bama is not as dominant as a program as it used to be, just because when you look at the draft reports and you look at the draft data, typically we're fighting for having 9, 10 guys drafted. Right now, we're going to fight for either 4 or 5.
Definitely going to be a down year for Bama in terms of what we're used to seeing in the NFL draft, especially on that top end of the draft, day 1 and day 2. I don't think we're, it's not going to be what you've seen the past, 16,
Yeah, we ain't setting no
years.
records.
Right. So,
yeah, we ain't setting no records.
Go ahead and run my big board.
He caught you. Oh.
All right. So I even went a little bit more specific with my board and where I thought they may potentially fall. I'm with you on Campbell going in the first round. Like you said, on the ball, off the ball, dynamic player. He has some room for growth, but he has an amazing upside, man. With the right coach, I think he'll be just fine. And I can see the way Seattle has been trending at the end of last year. They need a good, edge/middle linebacker who do both for them. Because again, depending upon whether you're in a 4-3 or you go to the odd front, he can do whatever you need him to do. So I think Seattle would actually be a great fit for him. Same thing with Booker. When you look at Booker, I feel like Tampa Bay, they're getting close, but Tampa Bay didn't really run the ball as well as they wanted to run the ball. So if you need to run the ball, what are you going to go get? You need to get a mauler who can run that ball for you, who can clear those holes that you need them to clear. Now, this is where my board got a little bit more away from yours. With Milroe, I feel like it has to be the right situation for him for someone to select him. And honestly, I think that situation would be Pittsburgh or the Ravens, but I think it would be more likely for him to fall to the Ravens in that 3rd round because, again, you want to put him in an offense that's tailored to his skill set. Whose offense is more tailored to his skill set than the Ravens? Nobody. So right. I think that, you can honestly see him fall to them in that 3rd round. Now,
he ain't gonna make it, Marvin. Sorry.
Hey, we gonna see, brother. I'm just telling you from my point of view.
We can put something on it if you want to.
I'm just telling you from my point of view. All right, now with Malachi Moore, this is where it gets a little tricky. I put him in that 4th round spot because the only thing that I could see is maybe you might get a run on safeties early. And if you get that run, he might be fortunate enough to fall to the 4th round. I've seen this happen once, a few times before. Like, okay, let's look at Tony Dixon. Tony was projected to be a late 3rd round or early 4th round pick, but because you had an early run on safeties, Tony ended up going early in the 2nd to the Cowboys. So, sometimes
20-second timeout. Tony Dixon was 6'3", 220 pounds and ran 4.4.
Hey man, I'm telling you my logic. All right,
listen, I'm telling you my logic.
I didn't interrupt you. I'll let you finish your board.
You know what, Marvin? I apologize. I'm just going to go quietly away and let you run through your board.
Proceed. All right. Now, I think, with Dupree, I think Dupree has a legitimate shot to fall to the Falcons in the 7th round because, again, they need some help at tight end because outside of the kid from Florida, what's his name?
Kyle Pitts. He ain't blocking nobody no way. Keep going.
Exactly. So they're going to need some help there. And then, I can see Smith falling to Seattle in the 7th round as well, getting some help up front. But beyond that, I didn't rate any of the kickers and the holders because I don't really waste my time on that. But
they got a place to play too. So what do you think about Robbie Oots? You said he's on Oots. Robbie Oots.
I think Robbie will be fine. But again, for Robbie, it's going to be the right situation. And you look at a team like Miami, you don't really hear much from Miami's tight ends because all you hear about is Tariq Hill, Jalen Waddle, all these fast guys on the edge. But if you want to successfully run the ball, like I know, you got to have 2 to 3 solid tight ends.
Especially in the AFC East, man.
That's what I'm saying. So I think for Miami to pick him up in the 7th round, I think that's a good steal for both sides because, again, Miami's going to need someone because, again, you got to protect Tua as well, man. You're going to need a solid tight end or someone who can play the H-back tight end position. And I think Miami will be a perfect place for him to fall.
You know what? Robbie might end up having a longer career than maybe CJ Dupree. Just because Robbie's going to be a 4-core teams player. can play some fullback if you need him to, line up and play tight end, off the ball, H, U. And he's tough as hell. You're gonna have to find a way to kick him off your team. And guys like that bounce around for a long time, Marvin. You know, when I was a pro scout for the Buffalo Bills, my boss, Jim Monis, used to always tell me and make me and basically prompt me to signing priority free agents. And my matrix towards priority free agents all the time, Mook, was I always went either height, weight, and speed, right? Just so I can bring the biggest.
Whoa. Hey, you got to save it now because we're going to get into free agents and how they make decisions.
Okay.
This would be actually the perfect segue into that. All right? So, but before we transition to the next segment, Petty, we have any questions from the audience regarding the any draft picks or where they might fall, any input? Ooh,
I'll take Milroe over Dart. You know what, B. Russ, I would too. Here's a couple of things, Marvin, and we can hold off on that segment for a second. Let's dive in a little bit. Here's why I believe that Jalen Milroe has a true chance a few years from now to be a good starting quarterback. Not great, not a franchise guy, but a good player. This is mental toughness and his approach to football. But his skill set tells you that there's a lot left out there to develop. Big arm. You've seen the jump from year 1 to year 2. Now, for a player like that, you're always going to need continuity and you're going to need time on task in the same system because his skill set does not tell you that he can be thrown into any system and say work. There has to be a specific program, playbook, scheme that is predicated for Jalen Milroe. Now, Dart has a good skill set. Can throw it. His arm strength is not like Jalen Milroe's. He does not have the mobility and the dual threat ability like Milroe. And the thing that just going back and studying him, Dart took a lot of damn big hits, Marvin. He ran himself into a lot of dummy shots, trying to be a tough guy. Now, in college, you and I both know you might be able to run over a safety every now and then, might be able to pick on a freshman linebacker every now and then. But in the NFL, there are 11 guys on defense that when they wake up that Sunday morning and they get ready to play either that 1 o'clock or that 4 o'clock game, their sole job is to seek and destroy the quarterback any means necessary without getting a personal foul repeatedly. So just that approach from Dart scares me a little bit because your best ability, Marvin, is what? Availability. And if you aren't available and you're taking shots, it's hard. Go ahead.
I say, if you're not available, you can't play. That's the thing about the NFL. You don't want to end up on the PUP list, man. Especially, you don't want to be on PUP list. Yeah, you are 1,000% correct on that.
And even, okay, we got another one. Milroe to Arizona or the Washington Commanders. I would say if you want me to go ahead and play a scenario out to you, I'll play this one out to you. Kyler Murray skill set in Arizona is very good. He can be one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. Maybe number 5, 6, 7. He can be in that conversation. But over the last few years, there have been rumblings coming out of the building of his ability not to process information quickly or even to study. So if you're in the front office of Arizona and you believe that Jalen Hurts could come in and be the heir apparent to Kyler Murray, you do so.
Jalen Milroe.
Washington Commanders ain't happening. Knock it off. Good luck.
Oh no, you got to understand something. With Washington, you're sitting there with Jaden Daniels. I mean that, and Washington's playbook is not to Milroe's strong suit because Jaden Daniels.
It is Marvin. It is.
Not okay. It may be slightly, but Daniels throws that ball a lot, and he takes a lot. The kid is very accurate, man.
Yeah,
he is. Listen, that dude is accurate, bro. Like you can't take very much. You can take away from Jaden Daniels.
All right, Corey Lewis. I really believe Milroe would fit the Dolphins' offensive scheme with Mike McDonald as head coach. Okay. I believe that Milroe can fit majority of schemes in the NFL, long as it's not a West Coast timing offense. Any one of those offenses that's predicated off being able to have some quarterback runs, bring him in slowly. And when we talk about systems, I think people get it mistaken as saying that you only can fit this scheme. If you have a good quarterback teacher and a good quarterback coach that understands how to teach the game of football, and you bring on Jalen Milroe, any quarterback that has the skill set to do so, you can see that particular player take off. I was there in Buffalo. Go ahead, Marvin.
I was going to say, when you were in Buffalo, talk about Josh Allen, where
That's
he
what I was going to
started
do.
to where he is now.
When I was in Buffalo, I mean, when we took Josh, we knew Josh was like immensely talented. You know, that's when Ryan Daboll was our offensive coordinator and quarterback coach. And what Daves did to Josh was just slow the game down for him. Gave him some quarterback-friendly reads. If he ever got in trouble, gave him some get-out-of-jail-free cards. Run him some so he can get comfortable. And he didn't give him the entire playbook and say, master it. He gave him sections of the playbook and say, master it this year. Then year 2, we're going to build. Year 3, we're going to build. And now you see Josh Allen now, NFL MVP. But with players like that has tremendous athletic ability, you don't want to just make them runners, but you don't also want to keep them in the pocket and make them pocket quarterbacks. So you have to have the right coach that understand how to teach that player and how to develop and cultivate that talent into an NFL productive starter at the quarterback position.
Okay. Well, let's transition, Coach. And I want to ask this, of all the players, we seen your big board. Petty, put Smoke's big board back up for me, if you don't mind. And looking at your big board, there's always that one that people always think was going to be a free agent, but ends up getting drafted. So out of your list on that big board, who's that one who has that potential to be selected late in the 6th or 7th round, opposed to having to take the free agent route?
I would say Robbie Oates, just because of his position flexibility. And you have teams that like running 12 personnel, meaning running 2 tight end packages with the ability to use your tight end as your fullback. So what Robbie would do is, I'm managing the roster and also game day roster. Robbie would give me 2 positions for one, because he could be my tight end, which is your Y, if you're using alphabetical letters to determine the position of football players. And he also could be your fullback when you go to 2-back offenses and run 21 personnel, 2 backs, 1 tight end. So he gives you an opportunity to be multiple, and you don't have to lose a roster spot to have a fullback. Go ahead.
I was just about to say, explain how that works with that roster spot, because again, you only have so many people you can travel and dress with. So when you got a guy who can fill 2 or 3 roles, that means you can bring other players for other needs.
Well, you have a 53-man roster. That means your active players that you can go into a game. And then you have your game day roster where you have 7 inactive players. So when you have that, you try to go into the game, but most teams will break it down as just saying they're going to have 2 quarterbacks and then your emergency quarterback, which is your third. Depending on how you play, you'll have 4 to 5 active running back, your starter, your backup, your third down guy, and your 4th guy has to be a core team player, meaning he has to play every special team, but also be truly, truly an effective special team player. Most teams will have either 2 tight ends, but if the third tight end is up, he has to be that dominant special team player as well. But most teams will go with 2. And then when you go to your offensive line, you go with your 5 offensive linemen, and you go with 1 swing offensive lineman, meaning that he can play right or left tackle. And then you have your swing interior offensive lineman, meaning he can play guard or center. So most teams will either go with 7 or 8 active. Defensive line, depending on if you're 3-4 or 4-3, you go with your 4 down lineman if we're talking about a 4-3, and you'll have your defensive ends that rotate and your 2 interior guys that rotate. So you'll probably go into the game with about 8. So that's how you compile your 46-man roster on game day.
Okay. So
And then your
normal.
3 specialists, your kicker, your punter, and your long snapper.
They don't count. No,
Yeah,
they,
they
they
do.
count. They count. They count. I'm
Yeah.
just joking. I'm just because the game's on the line, man. You better have a kicker who can nail something for you, or you better have a punter who can put coffin corner that punt and put your defense in phenomenal position. Because again, if every time you punting the ball, it's going out of the back of the end zone, and the team's getting the ball at the 20, that's a problem. You're never going to win the field position battle. So those guys are just as important. I'm just talking crap.
Marvin, punters are part of the defense. You and I both know that.
That's what I just said. Coffin corner. Put them in that corner. Bury them, baby.
Here we go. Bama Network. You got this one, Marvin?
Earlier in the week, Shedeur Sanders draft slot over under was 8.5. Now it's 22.5. Thoughts? Vegas knows something. Here's the thing about it. I just saw on ESPN's pre-draft show, they were saying that he can potentially be a day 2 pick early in the second round. Here's the thing you have to ask yourself, though, Smoke. You don't know what a team's needs truly are. Because, again, we're not there in their draft rooms. We don't know who they're looking at. So, just like I know, it could take one pick to cause a domino effect. One pick can cause a domino effect, and he could drop. But also, it could be one pick cause a domino effect, and he goes earlier.
Marvin, where there is smoke, there's fire. America hate rich black kids. All right? And it's even more, they hate entitled black kids. Now, Shedeur has been beaten up since the last time he took a snap in college football, when everyone knew that he was going to be a potential NFL drafted quarterback, first, second, whatever round that you want to go in. Now, if we're talking about film, the film will tell you what he is. He's not a franchise quarterback, but he's a start-win quarterback, meaning if you got to have good pieces around him, you can win with him. His percentage was 74% completion rate. You take some of those bubbles and those 2 and 3 yard passes, it comes down into the 60s, but still yet he's an accurate thrower of the football. He understands concepts. He throws with touch, timing, and accuracy. And it is the most NFL ready quarterback right now in the draft. Now he goes through the draft interviews. That's where you see things start falling apart, because yes, he's prime son. He feels a certain way. Is he humbled? I don't know. Is he confident? Heck yeah. But he's no different than Eli Manning, Peyton Manning, Josh Allen, Baker, and the list goes on and on and on. Every single quarterback, when they interview, will tell you that if you don't take me, you're going to pay for it. He says it, oh, he's arrogant. Baker says it, it's confidence. All right. His character is being questioned by everyone. The last time I checked, if you want to say he held up his arm like this because he had a watch on, and the way he speaks when he's in front of a camera, if you say that's arrogant, fine. But if you do a character check on him, I've never heard anyone say anything negative about him coming out of the locker room and pertaining to his teammates. I haven't heard it. And I'm pretty close to the system. To the situation. We don't have any criminal history of this young man. He's never been in trouble with the law. Never had any academic issues. Right? Never had any civil issues. So my question is, why is he the only one that's getting ridiculed for being arrogant? Yeah. If you don't like his play, don't take him.
Yeah.
Right? Now, personally, I wouldn't draft him myself unless he was my franchise starting quarterback. And here's my reason. He brings too much with him. Right? If he's your backup is going to get more attention than the starter. Right? If he's not playing well, there's a high chance that he's going to bring unwanted attention, and most likely it's going to be what's going on in that building, because that Sanders last name brings a roar with it. So unless you have complete conviction in his skill set and you truly have a handle on how you're going to handle that young man, leave him alone. Most teams can't do it. Most coaches can't do it. So it's going to be the right place, right time for him. I think we got a question from Corey. Oh, no, we got one from Bama Standard.
Well,
Well, okay, we'll
you know the thing about it though, with him, it would probably be to his benefit to fall to a later round to a situation where a team does have an established quarterback where you don't have to answer those questions.
Well, here's the thing, and we'll get to your question in 1 second, Corey. His skill set, Marvin, tells you to draft him somewhere at the bottom of the first, early second.
Kansas City.
Right? Yeah, Kansas City ain't going to take him.
But I'm just saying, in a situation like that, you're not going to outshine Mahomes. I don't care who you are.
But when do you play? When is he going to play? Do you draft him to be your backup?
Yep.
I wouldn't draft a second rounder to be my backup. I would draft a second rounder to be my heir apparent starter.
At some point.
Right? I mean, at some point. Now, if I'm in Buffalo situation and there's a quarterback out there that I feel like in the next 3 or 4 years can be somewhere close to a Josh Allen, I'll take him early if you believe that. But I'm not taking you to be the backup. I'm taking you to be the heir apparent to the starter because I can't keep paying the starter this amount of money if I have to build my team. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I think that's where he's gonna fall. You're gonna have a team that don't take him in the top 10, and then they'll trade back up, a la Baltimore Ravens when they goofed that one off and traded back up and got Lamar Jackson. Corey, so would you draft him at 13 if you are the Dolphins with Tua's concussion problems? I would think about it. Honestly, I think that's a situation where he could fit. Timing, accuracy, boots, waggles, play action. He's all about that because he knows how to play the game. Cerebral quarterback, intelligent quarterback, pro-ready quarterback. Next question.
I don't think we have. I don't think we have another one. So let's transition to this point. So for the guys who don't find themselves getting their name called in rounds 1 through 7, what should they? What does that process look like for them, and what should that criteria be for them deciding who they want to sign with as free agents? Because we all know who they sign with it can make or break their career.
Well, Marvin, I mean, I was a priority free agent myself, and going through that process as a player, it was a little bit difficult. But as a pro scout, my process was always in educating the players was this: find a team that's going to give you the best opportunity to make the team, meaning comb through the roster, understanding scheme, fit. Every single year, there's data that comes out if you have a decent agent that should give you the information of how many priority free agents have made this team in the last few years. You want to track that. How many priority free agents with a particular head coach makes the team? There's some head coaches that love that. How many times have you had conversations with that particular organization? Because if you've been courted, worked out, brought you up for a 30 visit, yeah, there's good intentions that they want you. They probably just can't select you because they don't have enough draft capital or draft picks to get you. So they're trying to set you up for success. When we took Levi Wallace with the Buffalo Bills, he was in a great situation. We had some older DBs, and we needed some backups. Levi's skill set fit what we did in Buffalo. Off man, zone. He's a zone corner, instincts, ball skills, physical, tough, can give you production on special teams. So you have to find the right system and the right team that fits your skill set. If you're a fullback and there's a team with a veteran fullback that might be on his last leg, wink, wink, Warby, if you don't get drafted, that's a team that you'd want to sign with, regardless of how much money you get. Now, you also find out how much interest that team has in you because I did a few contracts. If I guaranteed a part of your P5, meaning your base salary, into your contract, saying I guaranteed 70%, there's a high chance that we really, really like you. It's going to give you the best opportunity to make the team.
Now, looking at Alabama's class of draft eligible players, who do you see or think will have the best NFL career?
Oof. The cleanest one and the easiest one is Tyler Booker. Because he's going to be a day one plug and play guard. Stick him in there for 8, 9, 10 years. You don't never hear nothing about him. He's going to sign 2 or 3 contracts. Jahad Campbell, good player. Milroe can be the one that is a superstar of the group. But if you're talking about just consistent paycheck, years, maybe a Pro Bowl here and there, Tyler Booker.
Okay. Well, we have a question.
Shoot it.
From.
Question for Smoke. The only application that you got to fill out is to be eligible. Stop it. Knock it off, man. You're a jokester.
Like they going down there to Wendy's to fill out an application.
Yeah, they all they got to do is sign that contract, man.
I get it. So as we wrap this up and transition before we transition to our last topic, man, I got one last question for you. Who would you be surprised to see not get drafted?
Not get drafted. I'd be surprised if CJ Dupree didn't get drafted. Just because the NFL and the football world is so tight and needy. Listen, if I could give any advice to a 6'5", 250, 40, 60-pound player that's playing tight end, learn how to block. If you're in line wide and can block at an average level, you're going to have a chance for a scholarship, B, to be a draft pick. All you got to do is catch the ball with your belly. If you can block and catch the ball with your belly for 5 yards and fall down, you got a chance. Mercedes Lewis played for 38 years, Marvin, in the NFL. The last couple of years, Mercedes couldn't even walk, bro. But I tell you what he could do. He blocked your tail off. Just like Terry Jones Jr.
He was there for a long time.
Man, he was there forever. Marvin, you know what? I got a draft day story for you. With one Matthew Milano. And I'm gonna take my one of my boss, Jim Monis, and I will take credit for that one. And if you go back and you look at the Bills draft from 15 to 17, that 17 draft class might be one of the better draft classes of all time. Pretty good. That's a draft class that had first round. We traded it with Kansas City, and they picked Pat Mahomes. But we also received a first round pick for the next year, which we used to draft Josh Allen. So that was draft capital to get Josh. Shout out to Doug Willie for doing that. We drafted Tre'Davious White in the first round, LSU cornerback, all pro Bowl player. Cornerstone of the Buffalo Bills, just re-signed back to the Buffalo Bills. And we only used Marvin. The craziest thing is we only had 96 players on the board. That's unheard of. Most of the time you had like 500. We only had 96 to select our 7 picks. Highly on you. Like that's never happened. Because if you do math, Marvin, 3 times 32. What's that?
96.
Good. So all we had on our board was 3 rounds of players. And this is what we came home with. Tre'Davious White in the first round. I'm going to say we took Deion Dawkins in the second round. All-pro left tackle. Zay Jones. I believe either we bumped back up in the third or second round pick. Zay Jones had a really good career with the Bills, then went on with the Jaguars. I think he's still bouncing around. In the fourth round, I want to say in the 4th or 5th round, we drafted Matt Milano, all-pro linebacker, Tanner Vallejo, good special teams, good linebacker, and we picked Nate Peterman. I know everybody goes, "Oh my God, you got Nate Peterman still a backup in the NFL." So you go out and just look at it right now. Every single one of those players, Marvin, still in the league, 3 All-Pro players out of 96. Effing incredible.
Hey man, when you do your homework, that's the result that you get, man. Because again, you got to know, man. Because we all know we've seen the guys get drafted who turn out to be head cases. We see the guys who get drafted who, once they get the money, they're no longer committed to the process, and they gain weight. They're not studying. They're not doing the things that they're supposed to do. We've seen the guys who, once they get the money, they're running women. Drugs. We've seen how this can corrupt people. So to draft guys that actually turn out to be not only productive members of your team but of society, and that are continuing to play, that means you really did your homework. Because again, we see the stories every year, man.
I'll tell you what, if Malachi Moore does not get drafted, I would suggest to Malachi Moore agent, send him to Buffalo. His skill set fits exactly how Sean McDermott plays defense, or send him to Kansas City. That type of scheme would fit what he does really well. Good enough man skills, physical, good instinctive player, balls to the wall, special teamer. Malachi, if your name don't get called, tell your agent, I gave you a layup. Go do it.
All right, brother. So as we wrap this up, we want to touch on one last topic that has nothing to do with the draft. It is Smoke's beef with the Tennessee Volunteer fan base. What the hell is going on, brother?
All right, Marvin. All right. So I'm gonna break it down to you. So on Monday on 24/7 Sports Network on our YouTube channel, we have our show, the Ultimate College Football Show. After the and we spoke a little bit about the Tennessee situation that's been going on, and we tapped a little bit into the portal, and we threw some names out there that they potentially might sign in the portal, and that one of the names was Joey Aguilar. Joey Aguilar started his career at App State, transferred to UCLA, got into the portal, and then transferred and went to Tennessee. Later on that night, my producer called and said, CBS HQ wants to do a hit with you. So I said, all right, cool, do the hit. So going through it, they asked me a question. They said, where's Tennessee at right now? And I just simply answered, and I said, hey, listen. And I know my guy, Bama guy, former B-Side 5 member, Jeremy Pruitt, caught it straight with this, Marvin, because I said Tennessee this year might go back into the Jeremy Pruitt era. Marvin, right now, Petty, I think the line out of Vegas was 8.5 for Tennessee with Nico, right? Now, without Nico and you bring in Joey Aguilar in there, Joey Aguilar is a turnover machine. He's thrown double-digit interceptions the last 2 years. You turn the ball over in Hypo's system, that's a no-no. As bad as Nico played last year, as people think, I thought he played solid. Nico only threw 5 interceptions. That counts for a ton. And he's 64% in completion rate. Joey Aguilar is 56. So you have on your team right now, you got turnover Joey, right? You got Jake from State Farm, Merklinger, and you got a freshman, George McIntyre. Those are your 3 options. And your best option is a guy that's played. So you ask me, I'm thinking that they're going to be in the 5-4-ish range. Last time I checked, that's what Pruitt averaged. So now I'm at my daughter's track. Go ahead.
I'm going to let you finish. But before you do, I got to shout out Lambstone Company. Have you ever dreamed of having beautiful natural stone in and around your home?
Yes.
For subpar materials. Check out Lambstone Company's selection of natural stone products to meet all of your project needs. Lambstone is located in Oniana, Alabama, and it's one of Alabama's oldest and most trusted sources in the state. Contact them today if you need those products, baby. Real stone. Use the promo code standard, the Bama standard, for a 10% discount, baby.
Man, I need that discount. I need a 5-figure discount. That's the one I need, Petty. I need that one. Marvin, We
Back
got
to the
we,
balls.
we got to also throw some love to our people over there, Title Town, Whitwell
Oh man,
Sport.
Title
Get one,
Town,
get
baby.
two, get a pack, get a few, get all of them, baby.
Hey, listen, man. Here's the thing about Title Town, man. You know, you can get them at the Bryant Museum as well, and definitely looking forward to seeing them being waved around Bryant Dinner this year. You know, if you don't have it, I really have a feeling you're going to need it. I think this team is going to be much more improved. So to show how much more improved, you better have your Title Town, baby, because you're going to need
So Marvin, getting back to my story. Oh, Jason.
it.
Yes, I'm with that. So Marvin, so we get so I'm at my daughter's track meet, and you know, on Twitter, we're doing decent hits on it. It's about the hit that I did for CBS, about 500,000 view. The other one I did was about another 400. So this guy, I forget my man's name. I'm gonna get it. I think it was what's my guy's name? Tennessee fan. Petty, you remember the guy that was bothering me? I don't even remember his name. Either way, he said, "Who's Smoke? Who's this guy?" So I just easily went back, Marvin. You know, I might have ran. No, it's my man Moose. It says at Vols Moose 2. Said, "I'm sorry, but who are you again?" That's what he said to me. Now, Marvin, you know I'm a humble black brother, man. Straight out of Jamaica, Portland College, Jamaica. I don't get down. I usually stay in my lane and kind of just behave myself. I don't say nothing. But that one kind of just touched me the wrong way because I don't really, really, really like Tennessee Volunteers. I don't fool with them. And I might have scooped one up and put it 65 yard with Jason Witten back there chasing and all Coach Tinsley and all them. We put that thing on a 34-14, Marvin. So I just, I just told him simply, the guy that I am is the guy in the end zone. I shot that clip over. Went viral, 1.5. So now I'm just catching strays from every Volunteer fan. But I love y'all. But I would just ask the question, and I answered it. I could have lied. I could have told you that Joey Aguilar and Josh Heupel on that offense, that we're going to put up more points than they did last year and look better, even though you lost your best running back, your better offensive lineman, a lot of your defense left. I could have said that. I didn't. I just gave it to you short and sweet. Pruitt. 3 wins, 4 wins, but it ain't going to be 10. So you're going away from being in the playoffs, Marvin, to just like holding on and begging and praying that you get into a bowl game. So either way, like I said, I'm not going to beat up the Nico thing anymore. Everyone called Coach Hype and said, "Man, hell of a job, Coach. We appreciate you. I'm glad you set that tone and you set the precedence for not letting players come in there and hold out on you." Yeah, they ain't going to be saying that when you're over there at the Papa John's Bowl in Birmingham.
I'm going to take it a step further. They open against Syracuse. I think Coach Babers gets it done.
No, not Coach Babers. Another black guy, Mook. You just like everybody else. My man Fran Brown. Stop
Fran
it,
Brown,
Coach Brown.
sorry.
Jersey's finest. I got you.
L. September 13th, Georgia. L. They'll probably beat UAB. Mississippi State.
They'll get them. They'll get State.
Arkansas. L. Alabama. L. Kentucky,
Double
L. Oklahoma. L. Then you got New Mexico State. You may win that one. Then
they'll get them.
Then you got Florida. L. The way Billy Napier has them trending, that's an L. And then
Marvin, if DJ Lagway is playing, if not, that'll be a good game. But if we're saying Lagway's playing, L. Keep going.
And then November the 29th, I think it'll be the nail in the coffin. If this happens on November 29th, I think you hear a whole lot of rumblings come out of Nashville. L to Vandy? You take an L to Vandy?
Marvin, where's that game being played at?
Let me see. I was just looking at it. Where is that game being played? That game is it's in Knoxville. You take an L to Vandy in Knoxville?
Marvin, you know I don't smoke cigars. I don't even like the smell of cigars. How far is Knoxville away from Atlanta, where you currently reside?
I think it's around 4 hours, something like that.
Marvin, let's do the trip.
If I'm in the country, sure, let's do it.
Hey, whoa. Stop flexing on us, man.
No, that's usually Thanksgiving week. I'm always gone Thanksgiving week. Every year I'm always gone for Thanksgiving. That's just the honest truth. Every Thanksgiving I'm out the country.
So Marvin, all that said, how many W's you got? New Mexico State, UAB, Mississippi State,
and New Mexico.
So hold on. I said my bad. I said New Mexico. So give me the
Okay,
again.
So they play East Tennessee State. That's
They'll
one.
get that.
UAB will be 2.
Yep.
Mississippi State potentially 3.
Yep.
New Mexico 4.
Yeah, they got that. Easy. You guys got 4 wins. Easy. The rest of them, you'll be fighting your tails off. And you better hope that young Joey's not throwing what he usually doing what he does of throwing interceptions.
But here's the thing, though. To go from a playoff team to
10-win team.
A 10-win playoff team, though. They went to the playoffs last year.
Playoffs?
So to go from a 10-win playoff team, 10-win playoff team to 4, maybe 5 wins if they can beat Vandy.
Marvin, you cut your nose off to spite your face. You're ugly. Yeah. Can't smell no more. Walk around like this.
Here's the thing, though. You got to understand. You got to look at the long-term ramifications of what a decision like this does to a program. You lose receivers. You lose you commit. So
your locker room.
This could potentially put you in a 2 to 3 year slump. You know, like I know in college football, 2 to 3 year slump equals unemployment. So maybe you should have been on the phone with XYZ Booster, like, hey, listen, man, I'm need y'all to slang some more chicken wings. I'm need y'all to dig up some oil. Whatever you got to do to pay this kid so we can move on with our lives. Because at the end of the day, you can look at a 2 to 3 year slump coming out of this.
Yeah. Yeah, they got a young boy coming in. Brandon Faison coming in. But he won't be here until 26 class.
But you got to look at it, though. Look at how many kids actually signed to actually play with Nico. And now Nico's gone. Yeah,
listen, there's the way that they're doing it right now, and Jason, we'll get to your question in 1 second. The way that college football is being played, good receivers follow quarterbacks. Offensive linemen want to play with good quarterbacks. You want to play with the guys who's going to give you the best chance to win. And irregardless of what we think, as temperamental fans, emotional fans, fanatics, what Nico did last year was serviceable for a first-year starter. Just remember that now. It's a first-year starter. He got you 10. He helped you get, regardless of how much you thought he did towards winning games and when you went to the playoffs.
And you beat
Year
Alabama.
2 is usually the step, the biggest step. And I just saw something that Dan Orlowski put out. Nico's still on the board to being one of the quarterbacks if he plays well out there with Coach Deshaun Foster, a.k.a. Coach Smoke. If he plays well, he'll have an opportunity to get into the draft and be okay. And then his younger brother just left Arkansas, went out there too. It's a great thing going on down in UCLA. I don't know what it is, but Smoke got him out there cooking, Mook. And still a top 10 Heisman candidate, still right now.
This is one of those things I think will be discussed that first Saturday of December when people look back at the end of the regular season to say, what was the true implications of Nico leaving Tennessee? They're going to dissect Tennessee's season, and they're going to dissect UCLA's season, and they're going to say, hey, what was the true ramifications of this? Because you don't know just yet. But that first Saturday of December, you'll know the true ramifications of this decision.
Jason Calvert, G-Mac will be the answer. That's George McIntyre, kid out of Nashville. Good quarterback, good athlete, good basketball player too. I recruited him when I was at Maryland. May not be September, but he'll be the starter by the end, by season's end. Sure. I ain't saying he still ain't winning 10. I don't disagree with none of that. Maybe the starter by the end of the season. Sure. He still ain't winning 10. So good luck.
All right. Well, brother, we're bumping up against the draft at this moment. Is there anything else you want to add about this draft and what we may potentially see before we get out of here? Because again, we're 5 minutes away from this thing kicking off, brother.
There's going to be a couple of trades. Just be looking out for at the back end of the draft where you start seeing teams 25 to let's say 32. that they're looking and see if their players are still on the board and they feel like they have a good run of 5 or 10 guys that they can still get to that have the same value, you can easily see them trade out, collect a third, and possibly a fourth, or swap a fourth for a higher fourth for another team to come back up into the first, a la Cleveland, Pittsburgh, the Raiders, Seattle. New Orleans, to come back up and get one of those quarterbacks and Tyler Shaw, Jackson Dart, Jalen Milroe, and if Shedeur slips out, come back up and get him in the bottom half of the first. But everybody needs a quarterback moving. They're still trying to find them. Regardless of what we think, the NFL is going to give them opportunities after opportunities.
Yeah, that, and most of those teams at the bottom, bottom 4 or 5 picks of the draft, they pretty much have solid rosters. That's why they're picking where they're picking. So, they're more flexible in terms of trading down and accumulating more picks to add, those second, third round picks so they can build their roster that way. I mean, you look at the successful teams in the NFL, that's what they do. When they're already at the top, they trade out, get that draft capital, and the rich just continue to get richer because, again, those second and third round draft picks can be very valuable in terms of, input on your team, especially when you start looking at special teams and other productivity, man. That's a win all the way around for those guys.
Yeah, you're just trying to add really good players at any point. Hey, Marvin, you know what? We got 5 minutes. Okay, my man Jason right here seems to be a volunteer fan. So go ahead, bring Jason up. Jason, you and I are going to have a good conversation. Go ahead. Who said 10 wins? We lost a ton last year. Okay. Best case was 9-3 this year.
Hold on, time out. When you say we lost a ton last year, is he saying in terms of players? Because Tennessee's draft eligible pool isn't really that hot to say you lost a ton. It isn't really. I don't hear
you lost the one. Right. You lost. Your running back gonna get drafted, and James is gonna get drafted. A bunch of guys transferred out, but you lost your starting quarterback. Right? Nico was mid. Fine. Mid of what?
Got you 10
right now, Mook. If we sat down and we ranked Nico, if he was in the SEC still, you would, and we're saying the best quarterbacks in the SEC, right? I did this. You would say Nussmeier, John Mateer, right? Then you start getting the conversation of saying, okay, well, is it Lenora Sellers or DJ Lagway in there, right? That's where you start saying, oh, who is it, right?
I like Lenore. That kid is.
Then at some point, some way, you start saying, where does Nico come in between 6, 7, 8, right? Yeah, ain't no way that you're saying whoever you have in your building right now is in conversation of anything else other than being the second worst or the worst quarterback in the SEC. And I'd love for you to say something about that, Jason. Give you a little bit of time. Tennessee defense, I agree. Tennessee's defense was very good last year. Shout out to your defensive coordinator, Coach Banks. And Dylan Sampson, good running back. Still yet, you had a quarterback that was better than the one that you have in the building right now. So you can't have deletion saying that you're going to add in a better player when you can't go by saying my worst is there now and the best just left. That don't make you a better team. Sorry. Love for you to say something else. I got 2 minutes for him, Marvin. You don't got to say nothing. You Tennessee fans, I've been waiting for y'all. Keep coming. What else you got? Come on, Jason. Get your fingers going.
Aren't they like 2-12 against us or something? 2-15 or something last? Oh,
they went on a solid run with Bazooka Joe and Hooker.
I mean against Alabama though. They're like 2-12, 2-15, 2 and something. I know it's something.
Hey, man.
A lot of ass whoopings.
All I'm going to say is this, man. There you go, Toya. That's it. Just ride the wave. We'll be all right.
That's it, man.
I don't know why you guys are so pissed off that you listen, every Tennessee fan, you guys could have donated some money into the funds. That's what you guys should have done. You guys should have went ahead and started donating money and they call it the Nico Save Me Fund. And don't ruin our daggone year because y'all not gonna be drinking a lot of bourbon. That dog ain't gonna be barking so much next year. It's gonna be a lot of quiet dogs, Marvin.
They're gonna be on that PBR. PBR will be the official beer of Tennessee misery.
Tennessee whiskey. PBR. Hey man, y'all better go invest in a lot of those daggone fires by the side of your houses, campfires, guitars, overalls, PBRs, and you know what? Go ahead and get you some title towels
to wipe your tears away.
To wipe your daggone tears. Give me a Mike Petty. Jason, you need a mic. You don't have you listen, you can Jason, I give you 2 more minutes while I wipe my daggone tears. You don't need a mic. Keep on talking. I'll answer every question.
You know what he need a mic for, Smoke? To say help. Send an SOS out of Knoxville. We need help.
911. Listen.
4 wins.
7-5 predict. Yeah. 7-5.
Huh?
Yeah. 7-5. That you're listen.
Hey,
you know what?
Yeah.
What
Pop said on Boomerang? You got to reverse it. You got to flip that thing. 5-7, maybe.
Hey, Jason, this is what 7-5 can get you. Get you a good ticket to the Music City Bowl. You play against a good Big Ten team. But last time I checked, when you guys finished up last season against the Ohio State Buckeyes, the national champs, you guys weren't saying 7-5. Sorry. It's a bad season. Just get ready for it. Get ready. Flip it around. 5-7.
But Smoke, we got to get out of here, man.
Got to go.
Hey, the clock is about to start running. If it ain't running yet, baby. Hey, listen, man, we want to thank y'all for joining us on this pre-draft edition of Constantly Smoking, man. Again, I blessings to all the guys who get drafted in the mic, no matter what school they're coming from. They're about to live out their dreams as kids, man. Go be great, man. Thank you, parents. Thank you, coaches, and just be humble. That's all I got for you.
Man, stay safe.
Y'all have a good one.
Man, see you in the end zone, Mook. That's where you can find me.